guys, and welcome to my channel. So today I thought that I would address one of my frequently asked questions, which is, do I think that my PhD was worth it? And this question is asked by many people, some of which are thinking of doing their PhD, others who didn't do it and want to validate their decisions, and the rest for various types of reasons. So I wanted to share my story, but I think that in order to evaluate if anything is worth it, you ought to have had some sort of expectation or criteria on which you will base your evaluation. And for me personally, it is based on the reasons why I actually did the PhD. So I had two reasons for doing it. The first one, looking back, seems a bit silly, but it actually is because one professor of mine told me that there is nothing stopping me from doing it. We were admiring pictures of recent PhD graduates in their red gowns, and it seemed like such a faraway dream for me. And all she said was, you know that you can do it. There's nothing stopping you from doing it. And I think that planted a seed in my head and in my heart. And so as I went on with my studies, first degree, honors and masters, I started to understand the value of what a PhD was supposed to achieve. And that was knowledge generation. It was about researching and bringing new knowledge to either solve a problem, understand something better. But at the end of it all, it is actually to better the lives of people. So I decided that I wanted to be part of a knowledge generation group, and I wanted to contribute to science, and I wanted to solve, or at least help solve, problems that are related to South Africans or that affect Africans or even the world at large. So that was my more solid foundation. So in order to assess this, I would then have to look back and see if I had gained the knowledge, the expertise, or the process of actually getting to generate new knowledge, or getting to contribute with the little that I know towards solving bigger problems. So that would be kind of my criteria. Now, the PhD process on its own is quite an intense one, and it's at times a very lonely one, because you take on a research project that sometimes very few people are involved in, and the subject of choice is sometimes something that only you in your faculty or in your research group are the person that fully understands and fully, or maybe sometimes just fully interested or engaged in it. So I think that starting with creating your proposal or writing your proposal, you learn quite a bit about formulating your problem and outlining ideas. So sometimes we have many ideas in our head, but to arrange them in a way that, one, it makes sense, and two, they're easy to implement is actually quite a process, and it requires you to be patient, it requires you to be involved, and it also requires you to be able to take a lot of criticism in that first stage, which now looking back was a good thing. Then when you get to the implementation process, you start to really look at how you thought that once you've got your problem formulation done, your methodology worked out, everything would just go smoothly, and you realize that sometimes the first ideas that you had don't work, or they just cannot be applied now. So many things can happen in your data acquisition stage, and it teaches you so much about re-evaluating the ways that you had decided to do things. You then get to learn that after step one, maybe it's a time to reflect and redo things, so on and so forth. And sometimes you actually realize that you have a brilliant idea that nobody else has thought of, so at times only very few people can help you with it. And I will have another video on collaborations and consultation. But yeah, so, and towards the end, you have all this data, you had this brilliant idea, and you realize that you now have to put it together in a way that makes sense to other people. You know, you get so involved in your head about how you want to do things, why you want to do things, but the time you have to actually explain it to other people, that on its own is a lesson. And I realized that you actually you have to invest in your communication skills, and you have to invest in learning who your audience is, and also not limiting your work to just the people in the scientific community. And at the end of it all, you realize that you produce a lovely thesis that will go into a library, that will turn into publications, and hopefully, just hopefully, contribute to the larger scheme of things, to an understanding of something, or to the creating of something new. So, with all this said and done, at the end of the PhD, I looked back, and for me personally, I realized that I had gained so much more than I had expected. So I had learned not just how to formulate scientific problems, but I had developed a mechanism, or I had developed a way to approach problems in general, to approach challenges in my everyday workplace, at home, in my social life. Although I am not saying that you turn your whole life into a research project, but I am saying that your critical thinking skills become a bit more enhanced. You know how to question things. You know that you kind of learn the correct questions to ask. And I'm not saying that we become perfect at any point, but it really is a skill that you need to hone continuously. But it is so good to have invested time in learning the skill, even though at times you were not even aware of the skills you are learning. There are also communication skills and interaction skills, or interpersonal skills, that you pick up, because during your term, while you're doing your PhD, you will do workshops, conferences, symposia, many events where you interact with other scientists, where you have to share your knowledge, and where you have to explain to them what they do, and you have to learn also to listen to other people when they tell you what they do, and learn how to quickly understand what they are telling you. So that was a skill on its own, but build onto it working in different countries with different types of people who have a different work ethic or a different work belief system, and it challenges you, and in that you also grow. But you also grow yourself culturally, socially, because going to these different countries, you then learn how people do things, you learn how to adjust very quickly, you learn how to be flexible in your approach to life, in your approach to your everyday living, and to your work as well, so that you can gain the best of your experiences when you are visiting other institutions or other countries for work and for studying. But it also, of course, exposes you to other different things, which I will make a different video about, the traveling, making new friends, and so on. So, in short, looking back at my PhD journey, the whole 4 years of it, do I think it was worth it? Absolutely yes. I think that the lessons that I learned, those expected and unexpected, are lessons that have set me up to have such a better experience in my work environment. Now, am I saying that you cannot pick up these skills anywhere else? Absolutely not. I do not know how or where I would have picked up these skills if I had not done my PhD. Maybe I would have picked them up in another way, but unfortunately there could have been so many things in life that would have led me to pick up the same lessons. But I do not have access to my parallel universe, so I can't tell you for sure. But one thing I can say is that I am absolutely glad that I did my PhD. I'm glad that I invested my time in learning how to learn. I'm glad I invested my time in learning how to generate knowledge into information and how to make it useful for everyone. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And please feel free to put your comments in the section below. So if you have questions about my PhD journey, if you are doing your PhD and you want to share your experience, or if you're thinking about it and just want to share how you're feeling, or you have extra questions, please feel free to do so as well. I will see you guys in my next video, and thank you so much for joining me. Bye.